Hello and welcome to the special telecast on ET Now. We're calling it the Battle of Ballots as we get you a non-stop coverage of exit poll results of 5 crucial state assembly elections. The most important of all of them, of course, being Uttar Pradesh. I'm Sandeep Gurumurthi joining you live from our news center in Mumbai, and joining me in Delhi is my colleague Supriya Shrinate.
It's a great evening to be with you, and you really have to hold your breath and fasten your seatbelts, if I may, because these numbers will come and they will change the face of Indian politics for years to come. As we await the exit poll numbers that are going to be out any moment now, we must tell you Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Goa, Uttarkhand and Manipur did go to polls. 5 assembly elections. Uttar Pradesh matters the most because it is not just India's most populous state, accounts for nearly 14% of the total electorate. It also will change the fortunes for presidential elections as far as the BJP is concerned. Exit polls will be out on your screens very shortly, and we will be able to tell you what these numbers have to say. It is a big battle for Rahul Gandhi, for Narendra Modi and also for Akhilesh Yadav. Sandeep.
That's right, Supriya, a lot at stake. This is going to be a referendum on Prime Minister Modi, a referendum on his demonetization drive as well. India's border state Punjab may well paint the national political canvas as well, with the BJP Akali alliance braving anti-incumbency, even as the Congress bets big on its captain. It's the Aam Aadmi Party which could cement itself as a national party as well, if it emerges as the single largest party in the state. For Goa, once again, even as the BJP hopes to emerge as the single largest party, the Aam Aadmi Party's influence cannot be overlooked. For its victory will have deep national consequences. In the hill state of Uttarkhand, Congress means to hold on to the throne despite facing many defections through the last few months. And last but not the least, it's Manipur, where where the Congress again would want to hold on to its crown, even as Iron Lady Irom Sharmila stepped out to clinch popular mandate as well. Important to watch out political trends play out in Manipur as well. But joining us over the next hour and a half are some of the finest political analysts and commentators. It's indeed a privilege to introduce the panel that we've got for you on ET Now this evening. Prabhu Chawla, Editorial Director of the New Indian Express Group. Rajiv, Kumar, Senior Fellow of the Center for Policy Research. Jagannathan, Editorial Director, Swarajya Magazine. Swaminathan, Aiyar, Consulting Editor of ET Now. Sagarika, Ghose, Consulting Editor, Times of India. And minutes from now, we'll also be joined by Sadanand, Dhume. I can tell you, no channel can boast of a panel as good as this. The combined intellectual might of our panel is what something that we really are presenting to our viewers. People, intellectual giants with no biases as such. So that's something that I'm sure our viewers are going to look forward to. Let's set things rolling before we get the first numbers trickling in minutes from now that should come. And Swami, I'm going to start off with you. What's the most important number that you're going to be watching out for as the exit poll numbers start trickling in minutes from now? Swami?
Me? The most important number, obviously, is what is going to be the position in Uttar Pradesh. Will there be a clear verdict? Will there be a hung assembly? That is so important because it will, in some sense, this is going to be the beginning of the general election campaign in 2019. So this is like the first big step. And that is therefore the biggest single indicator of what we might get 2 years from now. So I think all eyes will be on UP. Of course, there are the smaller states. There's Punjab and Uttarkhand and the others. But I think overwhelmingly, all eyes on Uttar Pradesh.
All right. Coming up, and I would like to put this out because I am quoting NewsX right now, and NewsX has given the BJP 185, the SP Congress combined 120. Sagarika, you've been traveling extensively through Uttar Pradesh. Do these numbers surprise you at all? Because your columns seem to suggest that you are also not putting your neck out there, but you do believe that the BJP is going to sweep UP.
I believe so, Supriya. I think I wouldn't again put a number to it, but I do believe that if you travel through UP, as I have done in the west, in the central area, in Awadh, in Bundelkhand, as well as Purvanchal, you find that the BJP is in contention in every seat, which the others really are not. You have the BSP in contention in Western UP, you have the Samajwadi Party strong in the Yadav belt of Central UP, in the Awadh region. You also have the BSP and SP in Purvanchal, but there are places where the BSP is not there and there are places where the SP is simply not there. But the BJP, by contrast, is in contention in every seat, which is why I believe that the BJP is, to my mind, just going by the feedback I got from the ground, is ahead of the other parties, particularly in the kind of social coalition also that the BJP has been able to create. It's created, in fact, a very radical new concept for the BJP, which used to be a party of the Brahmins and the Baniyas and the upper caste generally in Uttar Pradesh. But this time we find that the BJP has actually created a kind of coalition of the poor. You have the non-Yadav OBCs been given 127 seats by the BJP. The BJP has given 127 tickets to non-Yadav OBCs. I believe the non-Yadav OBCs, the Rajbhars, the Kushwahas, the Mauryas, the Nishads, those who are not in the Yadav kinship group, I believe they hold the key to this election, and the BJP has done a very important Gathbandhan with these non-Yadav OBCs as well as, of course, the MBCs and the non-Jatav Dalits. So, you know, what you have and what I saw in UP was a Teen Jat versus Sub-Jat. Sub-Jat with the BJP and the Teen Jat, that is Muslim, Yadavs and Jatavs, with the Alliance and Mayawati respectively. So it seems to be that the majority Jats are with the Jats, as in Jatis, are with the BJP alliance.
Indeed. Sadanand, you want to come in on that, because numbers on your screens are also from Times Now, and the Times Now poll seems to give BJP a much bigger number, 190 to 210. The SP between 100 and the SP Congress between 110 to 130. And the BSP between 57 to 74. Are these numbers in line with what you saw when you toured all across Uttar Pradesh?
You know, I wasn't all over Uttar Pradesh. I was only in eastern Uttar Pradesh, and as I said on your show the other day, it certainly seemed that the BJP was looking quite strong in those parts. My first response to both these numbers that you've quoted is that they seem to be overturning a certain amount of conventional wisdom, which stated that, you know, this is too tough to call, there's no real wave that was visible, it's a toe-to-toe, seat-by-seat battle. If these numbers are correct, it looks like the BJP is very comfortably in position not only to form the government, but perhaps to have one of the stronger majorities that we've seen in recent years.
Yes, I think now we've got 2-3 polls, and all the polls are giving the BJP significantly more seats than the Samajwadi Party and the Congress alliance. I think that trend is pretty clear in at least 2 polls that are out so far, and more are trickling in. The ABP poll is giving us details phase-wise, but even that seems to indicate that the BJP is likely to be the dominant, because phase 1, as per the ABP poll, is also giving the BJP 39 seats at the maximum, and the SP alliance 26 seats at the maximum. So I think it's very clear, Jaggi, if I may come to you, that by the trends that are emerging, the BJP is likely to be in the best position to form the next government in Uttar Pradesh.
Yes, I think the consensus of polls and also the pre-polls seems to have put the BJP largely in the pole position. And if past trends are any indication, I think what shows it as merely ahead might take it well past the halfway mark. So one cannot rule out a clear overshoot, like Surjit Bala said today morning in the Indian Express, that he might well land up at something like 250 seats or something like that, because these numbers have a way of gliding past the obvious percentage numbers and giving a disproportionate share of the seats. And I think that's where it seems to be heading, unless the exit polls have got it so damn wrong.
Prabhu Chawla, you want to come in quickly? How are you reading the exit polls that have gotten so far? Clear lead for the BJP. Any surprise there at all? Or did you expect them to do better?
You see, the question is not the vote for or against any caste combination. If the exit polls are turning out to be right, it's a fight between Akhilesh Yadav and Modi. The Modi popularity is still intact. People are not voting for a chief minister. They are voting for Modi because they think that he will deliver UP a better governance rather than which is being provided. So anybody talking about caste combination, everything else is not correct, because in 91 and 1996 and 1998, BJP won all the backward seats and the scheduled caste tribe seats at that time. So it has happened in the past that BJP has broken all the caste barriers and won maximum number of seats in backward areas. So this is what is happening in the last 7-8 days. Modi, by his campaign style and going aggressively against Akhilesh Yadav, has been able to turn around the voter in his favor. It is a vote only for continuation of Modi as the Prime Minister of India and his party as the state ruling party. So it's a question of choosing between Modi and Akhilesh Yadav, who is a young person there, whose image is quite much better, because he has also ducked the anti-incumbency factor by dumping his father and his uncles. So therefore, I would say that if that exit poll turns out to be correct, it is going to be imposition of, for like Mrs. Gandhi. It is like Mrs. Gandhi used to win the election in all the states, because it was not the Congress party which was winning. So as Congress has vanished, the BJP has walked into the space vacated by the Congress party in all over the country. Wherever Congress is being marginalized, that Congress party, BJP is walking into those shoes. Earlier, there was a Congress worker in every district and every mahalla, in every samiti. Now you will find BJP worker and BJP pracharak or RSS worker in almost every samiti or every mandal or everywhere in the country, because Congress party has withdrawn itself as being a political party at the national level. So I would say Modi has revived the BJP as a national party, from Manipur, Uttaranchal, Uttarakhand, from Arunachal to Kerala. That's what BJP is now. BJP is the new Congress in terms of a powerful leader like Narendra Modi.
Indeed. Just hold your thoughts there, Prabhu Chawla, because we need to look at the data very granularly, and we actually see that the ABP exit poll is giving a phase-wise indication. Rajiv, Kumar, I'm throwing this question to you. In phase 1, which was really West UP, and people thought that's where the SP and the Congress would do really well, of the 73 seats that went to elections in phase 1, the BJP is likely to win 33 to 39, the SP and Congress only between 20 to 26, and BSP is likely to score with 12 to 16. It's important to remember here that this is the part where Mayawati did give tickets to influential, wealthy, dominating Muslim candidates. Has that strategy worked against the alliance, or do we actually see a sweep of the Modi wave even in parts of Western Uttar Pradesh where the Samajwadis and the Congress was supposed to be strong?
Supriya, two points and one additional one. The first point is really that clearly the Mayawati's strategy of having given tickets to the wealthy, dominant and influential Muslims has cut deeply into the SP Muslim vote, which is therefore, and that vote is therefore divided. And the hope that we had of strategic voting by the Muslim voters in favor of the SP Congress alliance has therefore not been borne out, if these numbers are right. But I think the most important point that I want to make is that I think it is time that all of us, and especially our political pundits and the polls and all of those, we just get away from this, caste-based, communal-based, etc., electoral arithmetic and that sort of an analysis. What clearly has happened in UP is that Mr. Modi's development plank, and Mr. Modi's demonetization and Mr. Modi's appeal for a better governance to a state which has been really just sort of, dying for good governance for the last 6 decades, I think that's won the ground. And I think this is what is going to be the future of Indian politics going forward, because I'm convinced more than ever before that the Indian electorate has moved away from these very old, archaic, sociological, communal, caste-based sort of things, etc., and is now moving to demanding better governance and moving to demanding development and judging the governments and parties on that particular appeal. Now the question of course will be that whether this particular promise of good governance is going to be borne out in Delhi or in Lucknow. But henceforth I can at least say that the parties which deliver, will win, and those who don't, whether they have all the caste arithmetic on their side, will stand to lose. But the final point that I do want to make is that if these numbers are right, this could well be the beginning of the end of Mr. Rahul Gandhi, I'm afraid. Because if he has got, those 100 seats and he doesn't produce more than 20%, winning seats there, which might well be the case, I can't see how the Congress, the other leadership in Congress and the rank and file of the Congress will still continue to toe Mr. Rahul Gandhi's line and continue to proclaim him as a leader. So I think the time of reckoning has come for Mr. Rahul Gandhi and for the Congress party.
Right. Rajiv Kumar, I'm going to come back to you because I think we have far more questions to throw at the Congress this evening, because this was a Rahul Gandhi election, not just 100-odd seats, 108 seats is what the Congress ended up contesting, and if he wins only 20%, questions will be raised. But Swami, I'm going to throw this question to you. The point that Rajiv Kumar raised, that has UP really broken out of its caste entrenched mold? Has it really broken out of how it has voted so far? It's slept between Maya and Mulayam, and it looks like for the first time UP is breaking out of the caste mold. Too early to call that, or do you actually believe we're for the first time seeing Uttar Pradesh break out of the caste mold, get rid of how entrenched caste has been even in voting patterns?
I think the will be there and will continue to be there. But whereas earlier it was the dominant theme, it is no longer the dominant theme. So, to say we've broken out suggesting that caste doesn't matter, I mean, that's all wrong. It matters greatly. But it's very clear that when you get these huge swings in the votes, when the composition of the caste remains the same, to anybody to argue that the caste is a critical factor is obviously wrong. I also fully agree with Rajiv that, that once upon a time when we had a Hindu rate of growth of 3.5%, and the best state was only doing 4 or 5%. The development didn't look such a big deal. Now some states are doing 10%, 11%, and Nitish Kumar showed, Shivraj Chauhan showed. At these rates, lives are getting transformed within 5 years. So I definitely think the discourse has shifted very strongly. The speeches that I listened to were all over UP by all three leaders. Everybody was focusing on development. Akhilesh, of course, was saying, look at the roads, look at the electricity and vote for me. While Modi said, look at the road, look at the electricity, vote for me. So, both agreed that these were issues, even though they had a completely different take on whether it was good or it was bad. But without doubt, we have gone beyond that caste network. It's a very good thing. And I think as we become a more modern and fast-growing economy, and it stretches down to the Bimaru states especially, I think we will see that, just talking about caste will go out not only from the discussions that the media does, but perhaps even within the political parties.
Right. Sagarika, if I may throw this question to you, and this is really coming at the back of what we were talking about, caste and all that set aside. One thought the index of opposition unity is what trounced Modi and Shah in Bihar. We did not see that index of opposition unity. What came together was SP and the Congress. The real opposition was Maya and Mulayam, and Mayawati never really became part of that alliance. In that sense, was this Modi's election always to win?
Supriya, it's Modi's election. I went there to UP and it was Modi, as Swami wrote as well in his column. Yeah. It's Modi, Modi, Modi. They're chanting Modi, Modi, Modi all over Uttar Pradesh. The fact is, I don't think we can immediately as a generalization say that caste has ceased to matter. I think if these numbers are correct, there has been a very intelligent caste coalition that the BJP has put together, has stitched together, and credit for that goes to Mr. Amit Shah. It's been a very intelligent alliance that he's crafted. But on the other hand, you're absolutely right. The index of opposition unity simply wasn't there. I mean, the logical alliance would have been between Mayawati and Akhilesh. That would have been the equivalent of the Bihar Gathbandhan, because the Congress really doesn't count for anything in Uttar Pradesh. I mean, the fact is the Congress asked for 105 seats, demanded 105 seats, and then no one in the Congress even campaigned. You didn't really see the heavyweights campaigning. Priyanka Gandhi addressed half a rally. Rahul addressed maybe 2 rallies a day. But you really didn't see the Congress pull out its heavyweights or campaign in a manner that would match the fact that they had been demanding 105 seats. So I think, you know, and here I agree with Prabhu Chawla, that the BJP is now the principal pole of Indian politics. It is the party number one in India. I think there's no two ways about that if these numbers are correct. And Modi is Neta number one. Now, I think where the BJP is vulnerable is where there is Gathbandhan, or where there's a very strong regional player like a Biju Janata Dal or a Trinamool or the Dravida parties. But in the absence of a Gathbandhan, if there's a fracture in the opposition, then the BJP we're seeing is gaining in state after state. And that is evident in UP, because clearly UP is not Bihar, and Bihar was Lalu and Nitish. This is Congress and Akhilesh, which is really not the same thing, because the Congress did not even get, was not even in the double digits in the last election in 2012. So the Congress alliance really didn't matter. And so I believe that when there is a Gathbandhan, then there is a challenge to Mr. Modi. When there isn't one, and when the opposition is fractured, the BJP is tending to gain in state after state, which is why I believe that the BJP will probably gain even in Goa. And, you know, and you never know in Punjab, of course, that alliance is a write-off, but you never know. If the BJP had contested on its own, instead of being an alliance with the Akali Dal, maybe they would have gained there too. That's just speculation. But the fact is, at the moment, I believe that the BJP is the principal pole of Indian politics, and the only thing that can defeat it is a Gathbandhan of the regional players.
Sure. In fact, as we speak, we've got the first cut of the Uttarkhand polls as well, and Chanakya poll has given BJP a clear majority in Uttarkhand as well. So they're not just winning UP. Another one exit poll seems to give the BJP the majority in Uttarakhand as well, with 53 seats there. MRC is giving them a lead of 38, but Chanakya is giving them 50. Punjab, we've got the Punjab poll as well, exit poll as well, 55 seats. So Punjab is a hung assembly, 55 and 55 to Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. But there was one more poll which gave the Congress a lead. It's clear that the Shiromani Akali Dal BJP combined is doing very poorly in Punjab, but I don't think no one expected them to do well. Really, they were always out of the race. It was always a fight between Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. But I want to stretch that point further, Jaggi, the point that Sagarika made and Swami made as well on this whole concept of index of opposition unity. Would you infer from this mandate that the anti-Modi bloc has been considerably weakened, number one, and number two, that the Congress, under any eventuality now, cannot be the sort of glue that binds the anti-Modi bloc together if you look at 2019? Would that be a fair inference from the UP mandate, at least as far as these exit polls threw up?
Absolutely. I think one of the key things that comes out from this poll is that the Congress is over for vast stretches of the cow belt, the Hindi belt, and they are currently ruling only in one big state, which is Karnataka, and they might well lose it next year if something does not go their way. So the basic problem about index of opposition unity is it is situational. In Bihar it worked because three parties got together, and so two very big blocks of votes, that is the Yadavs and Muslims, with a strong reason to work for their own victory, came together. In Uttar Pradesh, actually it did not work that way. It was possible that the Muslim vote got split between a strong BSP challenge and the SP Congress alliance. Whether they can come together, I think in a Lok Sabha poll, a Mahagathbandhan can work, for the simple reason that they merely need to have an arrangement of seats and make sure that nobody splits votes. But in an assembly election, nobody expects these three parties to come together and form a government. So I don't think a Mahagathbandhan would have worked with three parties. Three is a crowd in Uttar Pradesh. Another point about Uttar Pradesh is it is half national and half state assembly. So it is not only state factors that matter here, but also the national. UP has in the first 40-50 years provided a lot of our India's prime ministers, and it is considered the center of Hindu civilization in many ways. So if Congress was the natural party of the Hindu with Muslim bloc vote coming in, now the BJP has appropriated what the Congress had in the first 50 years of independence. Now the only problem is the BJP now has to reach out to Muslims in order to become the natural party of governance in India. But that's what we need to see, if they have the ability and the willingness to stretch across and shake hands and make sure that they become the permanent party of governance. So UP polls have many significant pointers for the BJP's future, but one thing is clear, Congress does not seem to have a future as of now.
What has hurt Akhilesh? The fact is that, whoever we spoke to over the last couple of months, experts, commentators, even a man on the street, everyone seemed to have a lot of sympathy for him. A lot of people felt that he's done some degree of development work as well in the state. What has hurt Akhilesh? Is it the inner fighting? Is it the way BSP distributed seats which ate into his potential vote bank? Or is it the alliance with the Congress in the first place? The move to give the Congress 100 plus seats in the alliance? What hurt Akhilesh? Prabhu Chawla?
You see, Akhilesh was a very popular leader. You see, he was fighting his own family members first. There was a lot of corruption charges against his uncles and everybody else, and there was a caste bias there, and he was also accused of Muslim appeasement. Akhilesh was looking for his own personality to be developed, because he was always suffering, he was surviving in the shadow of his father. He never came out of it. Only for the past 1 year he was acting on his own, and he came out of it. If according to your poll, if he gets over 120 seats along with the Congress party, he scores 100 with Samajwadi party, it is a good beginning for him, because within 6 months he has been able to bring back the party as the second largest party in the state. It's happened. You have to look at the other way itself also. 40, if the three castes which Sagarika was talking about, the only 3 jats versus sub-jats, 3 jats mean Muslim, Dalits and Yadavs, they account for 49% of the votes. 49% and 51% the rest of the votes, which means most backward classes, Brahmin, Thakurs and everybody else. Out of 51%, BJP can't get so many seats. It has to poll 90% of the 51% to get so many seats. So obviously something is happening there, where all the people are cutting across caste lines. Even Dalits may be voting for BJP. Even some of the Muslims might be voting for BJP. Even Yadavs must be voting for BJP. Therefore, they will be able to get so many seats which we are predicting at the moment. My hunch is, if you look at the analysis of the past 19 assembly state election, everywhere people have voted for a clear majority. And I think here also in Uttar Pradesh, one party will get the highest majority, and it might get 326 seats they were leading in parliament elections. They led not because only upper caste voted for them. Everybody voted for the BJP. What is happening in Uttar Pradesh is Akhilesh is also becoming a non-Yadav leader who is acceptable to the others as well. He may be a Yadav, but he did not project himself as a Yadav. He was trying to dive away. He was the only campaigner there. There were no other Yadav who were campaigning for the party. There was only Azam Khan who was campaigning in some of the district assembly seats. There was his wife and he. Both of them were drawing huge crowds. Sadanand. For example, in Allahabad, when the road show happened, his road show along with Rahul Gandhi was much better. Even in Varanasi, they had a better show. So obviously, Akhilesh Yadav is suffering from incumbency of the Samajwadi party, not of Akhilesh Yadav. What was happening, because Samajwadi party was always giving preferences to certain elements in the Samajwadi party, they were always playing with the law and order problem there. Therefore, Akhilesh was suffering for that image. If he scores even 100 now, his first century under his leadership, I think it will be a great thing for him. He is 43-year-old only. The future is ahead of him. Age is on inside, and the party is with him. He is getting there. But I must tell you, the first time in UP, issue is development. Issue is not caste. If BJP is getting the majority, it is getting the majority because they have a top leader at the top level, Narendra Bhai Modi, who has considered to be the strong leader, and he has not projected any other leader. Had he projected any leader, there would have been a different result altogether. So therefore, I am saying, UP, the narrative very clear that you will vote for only development, and all the caste will break their caste barriers, and they will vote for a person who delivers.
Right. Right. Mr. Chawla, I may not agree with you too much, because if you actually see the granular data phase-wise, the SP hasn't done too badly in the first 3 phases. In fact, the second phase, which is the Mau belt, the BJP is completely routed. ABP is giving them 15 to 21 and 37 to 43 to SP. In its old bastion of, the Unnao, Itawa area, the SP is between 25 to 31. So I'm not so sure if it was all about development, because we see the picture change if these original numbers do add up after phase 3. Sadanand, Dhume, I'm going to come to you. It looks like, at least the phase-wise elections that we're talking about, that the SP almost has, what, about 100 odd seats in the first 3 phases. What went wrong from phase 3 onwards then?
I mean, I think we have to step back, and I think one of the things that's going on this evening is that we're all jumping on to a consensus of exit polls. But it seems that as more information comes in, this consensus is not as crystal clear as it seemed in the first few minutes. It is quite possible that the majority of exit polls will be right, and the BJP is indeed headed to an impressive victory. But if you look at the CSDS numbers, for instance, and these are the people who got it right in 2012, we're looking at a much closer contest. So I think what your readers need to know is that maybe the majority view suggests that the BJP is ahead, but there are important and credible voices such as CSDS that see it right now as a neck-and-neck contest. So I think it would be a little bit speculative for us to discuss this as though these are election results. We should keep in mind that these are exit polls. Exit polls have been wrong in the past, and there seems to be a certain amount of confusion between different polls.
I agree with you. These are exit polls. These are not election results. But Sagarika, I quickly want to touch upon that one thing that I think both Mr. Chawla and Swami did mention in the passing, which is anti-incumbency. Yes, this was Akhilesh's election. Even though he was the incumbent chief minister, he was the guy who was anti-establishment. He was the Mr. Clean in that Yadav household amidst that Yadav feud. The question really is, has he paid a price for anti-incumbency? Because 40 of the 51 Eastern UP seats is where SP MLAs were sitting. So they were sitting SP MLAs in 40 of the 51 seats. So is this anti-incumbency he's perhaps going to pay a price for? Or is this perhaps an alliance with the Congress? The ally perhaps has pulled them down.
I think you're very right there, Supriya, to point to the anti-incumbency of the Samajwadi Party MLAs. Remember that the Samajwadi Party has given 80% of sitting MLAs tickets. And there's been a huge backlash. I came across this when I was traveling, that there was Yadav dominance, that you had to go to the Yadavs for parchas, you had to go to the Yadavs for jobs, you had to go to the Yadavs for hospitals, for government jobs. The Yadav dominance was what a lot of people were finding very, very irksome. So I think you're absolutely right to point to the anti-incumbency against the Samajwadi Party MLAs. Also, you know, I mean, look at the situation with the Samajwadi Party, Supriya. I mean, Mulayam Singh Yadav did not campaign in his own constituency of Azamgarh. I went to Azamgarh and they were telling me that Netaji yahan aaye nahi. You know, so the fact is that this family feud meant that Akhilesh was really on his own. He was a lone ranger campaigning with his wife. Now, Dimple Yadav is not Mulayam Singh Yadav. She can't be the Netaji, and Netaji is Netaji. Let's face it, that's Mulayam, and he didn't campaign even once in Azamgarh. So really, the Samajwadi Party did not put out that united face at all. I mean, Shivpal Yadav, the rebel, the uncle who was opposed to Akhilesh, of course, he's apparently there were 15 rebel candidates that he put up in that Etawah dugout of the Yadavs. So the fact is that there was a lot of goodwill for Akhilesh Yadav. A lot of people told me कि इसने गलत टिप्पणी नहीं की, ये बहुत अच्छा आदमी है, काम किया है, कार्य किया है, he's done work, he doesn't, you know, when his father was abusing him, he didn't retaliate, he was decent, he was a nice person. But the fact is, I think he was up against this party, whereas you rightly point out there's anti-incumbency against the MLAs, and also which didn't campaign. You know, an election campaign where Mulayam Singh Yadav doesn't even visit his own constituency, I think really tells you something about how the Samajwadi Party was fighting this election.
Indeed. I know it's going to be tough to do so, but let's move away from UP just for a brief while and focus on some of the other states before we get to the national picture. The conclusions that markets need to be drawing, because they've been betting on a BJP win for sure. So we'll come to that in just a bit. But Dr. Rajiv Kumar, let's talk about Punjab. 3 polls so far, 2 giving a clear majority to the Congress, 1 saying it's going to be neck and neck between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party. It was a given that the Akali Dal BJP combined is not going to do well. Is this a vote for the Congress, or is this a vote against the ruling government? Is this an anti-incumbency vote that's come through?
It's clearly a very strong anti-incumbency vote. It's not just an anti-incumbency, it's a vote for the shoddiest, the worst form of governance that particular government delivered to the people of Punjab. It's a vote, it's an angry vote. It's a vote out of anger of the voters who sort of, and this is what again, if you think of the caste arithmetic, etc., the BJP Akali combined has the best coalition going because you've got the Hindus and the Sikhs being represented there, but they don't stand a chance simply because the voters, as I've said earlier, do not want to punish those down who will not deliver and who will not do the development. From what Swami said, remember that 11% growth, 10% growth, this is in real terms. In nominal terms, it means about 16% rate of growth every year, so that in 4 years or 5 years, you can double your per capita incomes or not. So there is therefore a whole prospect opening up in this country of the difference between governments who deliver 16%, 15% nominal rate of growth and those which deliver 5, 6, 4% rate of growth, along with huge corruption and the drug trade and so on and so forth. So Punjab vote is clearly, and I suspect that AAP will win it because the Congress party's image on the governance front is not so good either. And when AAP does win it, it will open up a completely new chapter in the Indian political scene, because that will be a regional party now getting into a major province on the basis or on the appeal of just simple good governance, and that's going to change the nature and the tenor of Indian political scene going forward. Just one other last point which I want to mention is that even in the case of Bihar, don't forget that Nitish Kumar had delivered in the past, and that's why that Mahagathbandhan or Gathbandhan could roll BJP back. And this is why I feel that that what Sagarika was saying, that Netaji didn't canvass, Netaji didn't sort of go out and campaign. Probably if he had done, the SP Congress combined would have got lesser votes, because given the image of Shivalal Yadav's Netaji, Amar Singh, etc., the people of UP would have punished them even more, because that's what Akhilesh has been fighting against, and that's what's cost him the election. Because for the first 3.5 years, he was completely under the shadow of these people, and to extricate himself out of that has been a very uphill climb, which is what we have seen in UP as well. So let me just again reiterate the point that thankfully politics in India is going to be about good governance, is going to be about delivery, and is going to be about development in future, and this is what the political parties should learn from these elections.
The learnings from this election, we are going to come to that in just a bit, but again, put the spotlight back on Punjab. Swami, assuming the Congress were to win, 3 out of 4 polls so far seem to be giving it the edge. The one poll is Cicero is also now giving it 60 to 71 seats as against 42 to 51 to the Aam Aadmi Party. One's giving it a neck and neck. But assuming if the Congress were to win, how much of solace can they draw out of this victory? Is this something that can potentially revitalize the cadre? We don't know what's happening in Manipur yet, but is this something that can potentially revitalize the cadre, or this verdict has to be seen in the context of the governance that the state of Punjab has seen over the last 5 years?
No, Rahul Gandhi would love to win in Punjab. After losing here,
Poor guy, that's the only thing he'd have.
Well, he's got Karnataka. And if you ask me, he'll probably win in Manipur. We haven't seen the exit poll yet. But I mean, Manipur, he's lucky that, you have a situation where there's a complete blockade of a road by the Nagas, with whom, frankly, the BJP seems to be associated right now. So I can see the Congress winning in Manipur, I can see the Congress winning in Punjab, and Rahul Gandhi saying, yeah, I'm not a loser. But as I said, this is just a tiny silver lining to a huge black cloud. You can see that the party is in trouble. It has certainly lost earlier on, even if the Congress was out of power, anti-incumbency meant the Congress came back to power. Now that has gone, because it has slipped to number 3 in so many places. It no longer gets the advantage of the anti-incumbent vote automatically, as it used to in the past. So anyway, I think Rahul will be delighted if he can get Punjab. I'm not so sure he's going to get it. The interesting thing will really happen if suppose it's hung. I mean, can you have a situation where Mr. Kejriwal has to depend on the Akali Dal to form a government? It's a very intriguing situation as to what will happen if there's a hung assembly, and I think it is possible that it will be hung.
Right. Just hold your thoughts there, Swami, because I'm going to go to Jaggi on this, and much that you speak about Manipur, going the Congress's way. The numbers on our screen and the ones that are coming from Times Now do suggest that it's the BJP that perhaps could be heading to a victory. 25 to 31 in Manipur for the BJP, 17 to 23 for the Congress, and the others make up for 9 to 15. So I think Rahul Gandhi will perhaps have only Punjab to celebrate by the end of it, if of course he goes on to win this and AAP doesn't play spoiler. But Jaggi, I want to ask you this question. Can a government formation in Punjab by the Congress really compensate for the bruises and you know, the insult and the injury that comes in for Uttar Pradesh?
Absolutely not. In fact, if the Congress wins, which is still just a 50-50 chance, it will be not because it has come on the back of anti-incumbency, but because a significant chunk of the Shiromani Akali Dal and BJP vote, which has given up the state as a lost cause, may have voted additionally for the Congress to keep the Aam Aadmi Party out. That would be the reason why they will be going over the halfway hump. And so it's not a vote for the Congress, it's on the declining BJP Shiromani Akali Dal vote, a part of that chunk would have gone to the Congress in order to keep Aam Aadmi Party out. So it is no credit to the Congress if they come to power. So I think the Congress cannot draw solace, though of course the all the the fanboys of Rahul Gandhi will say it was because of his leadership, but it was nothing of the kind. If at all any credit goes, it will be Amarinder Singh and the decline of the Badals in Punjab, which may have forced some of the vote to go to the Congress. So I think the Congress has every reason to worry, and there are another reason why it will worry. No matter what happens to the Aam Aadmi Party, if it comes a creditable second, it is in the race. And Aam Aadmi Party can grow only at the expense of the Congress because it is occupying the space opposite the BJP. If you see, the Aam Aadmi Party has always criticized Modi. It has never gone so much after Congress, even though they were the primary targets in 2013 and 2015 when the state Delhi elections were held. So Aam Aadmi Party can grow only at the expense of the Congress. So even if the Congress wins in Punjab, long term they have a problem all over the country, including in Punjab.
Sadanand, I want you to come in on that because the latest Chanakya numbers seem to be giving the AAP and the Congress neck and neck, 54 each. The BJP and the Akali is about 9. I do want to ask you the question about the point that, you know, Jaggi made, and I know you have a point of view on Punjab as well. So first, of course, can Punjab compensate? And more than that, is Punjab also going to see the emergence of Aam Aadmi Party beyond Delhi? Is it going to be a relevant political force? And is perhaps AAP going to occupy the space that the Congress did in Indian polity, which is left of the centre ideology, and could Arvind Kejriwal be the big challenger coming out of Punjab?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of things to unpack there. The first is that, you know, going back to the idea of Rahul Gandhi getting credit for Punjab, I think in many ways Punjab illustrates a deeper problem with Congress, because if it does somehow pull off a victory, a lot of the credit should go to Amarinder Singh, as Jaggi pointed out. And it's a state where they have this old stalwart, they have this person with his own credibility, with his own ability to swing an election, and in much of the country they simply have no such people, and Rahul Gandhi's own ability as an add-on, as a person who can attract votes, is highly, highly doubtful. So that's the first part about Punjab. The second thing is on the AAP question, my view is that there's a very big difference between coming first and coming second. If AAP wins Punjab, then truly they've arrived on the national stage, they've proven themselves to be able to play outside of Delhi. It will be extremely creditable for this, you know, group of people, outsiders, to come into a state like Punjab and win power. If they come second, it's still creditable, but it's not really the same kind of earthquake. And the path that they have to tread to occupy that natural space as one of the leading contenders to oppose the BJP becomes more arduous if you've come in number 2 than it would be if they'd come in first place.
Right. I want to focus on another important state, which is Goa. We want to cover 5 states over the next 10 minutes and then talk about the big national picture and the conclusion that some of our panelists alluded to. Prabhu Chawla, Goa, we've got one poll coming in right now, which is giving BJP the lead, which seems to indicate that BJP is likely to form the next government. Now, they were faced with considerable competition, both from Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress in Goa. And of course, there was an incumbent government. There was also having issues with the fact that there was there was a clear conflict between the local RSS unit and the BJP local leadership as well. Plenty of factors that potentially could have worked against the BJP, and yet, if this one exit poll is to be taken at face value, they are likely to form the next government in Goa.
You see, Goa, like Punjab, is a similar example where the BJP has a leader there. There are plenty of leaders there. Even the RSS people were there working against them, but the main RSS was working for the organization. So I would say that there are many popular leaders. The Congress party is suffering from lack of leadership at the state level. That is happening in Goa as well. Because they were earlier, you had Pratap Rane and everybody else who were stalwarts in Goa. But now they are pygmies who are fighting the BJP leadership. You have Manohar Parrikar, who is the tallest leader there, the defense minister of the country. Like in Punjab, Amarinder is the reason there. I will like to just compare both the seats because somebody was pointing out that it is the AAP which is taking away the space from the Congress party. If Congress is number 1 and AAP is number 2 in Punjab, whose votes they have taken then? AAP has taken obviously the BJP and the Congress and the Akali votes. Therefore, this myth about that earlier for 60 years the establishment, I say establishment means all the top people in metros, they were all for the Congress party, and now suddenly I find all of them are trying to write off the Congress. Congress is not important. Why are we obsessed with Congress at all? In this whole election, Congress had nothing at stake except Manipur and Uttarkhand, where they were toppling the government once and twice. If they win Punjab and they score very well in Manipur in terms of that, and if they improve, for example, in UP, somebody pointed there were no double-digit seats here. There were 23 seats, they won 29 and they had 23, and they have been in the same number for the last 3 elections. If Congress party is able to retain 23 seats and able to win Punjab and every Goa, for example, I am saying with Goa still they are number 2 because I don't expect Congress party to survive in the long term if Rahul Gandhi is not able to bring the political leadership together. The Goa they are winning, if the BJP wins according to a poll, it is because of the leadership they have got and the cadre they have got. Amit Shah has built a party all over the country. Nitin Gadkari was put in charge of Goa there. He knew every block level worker there. So basically, victory, if the BJP wins, as it is reflected in the exit poll, if it is correct on the counting day, it is because the organization which Amit Shah has put together in last 18 months. He has been traveling like anything. Well, if you have to give a award to somebody for the maximum miles earned through flying, Amit Shah will beat any global leader in the world. So therefore, he has built the party. It is the party which is winning in Uttar Pradesh, if the polls are correct. It is the party which is going to win Uttarakhand, if the polls are correct. It is the party which is going to win Goa, if the polls are correct. We have been always talking in, I fact, personally I was against that there are no leader they are projecting. But seeing Modi and Shah, they are trying to build the organization which is winning the election for them. That is going, what is to happen going Goa himself. Even if there are no RSS, there were rebels there, but there was the official RSS which was supporting them. There were leaders who were, there were no infighting there in the top leadership. Maybe Manohar Parrikar wanted to be the chief minister, whether he goes back or not. But if they win, it is because of lack of leadership in the Congress party and the destruction of Congress as an organization.
Prabhu Chawla has raised an interesting point. Maybe, a few months from now, we'll probably stop discussing Congress. Not a great thing, I must say, Sagarika, but the way the Congress is being decimated state after state. But midway through these exit polls, I think the trend is very clear. Looks like in 2 out of the 3 states, the BJP is likely to form the next government. In one state, it was never expected to form the government. It was a junior partner, and there was really poor governance. So it was a vote against that particular government. So midway through it, it looks like this is going to be a verdict that the Modi-Shah combined will get a fair amount of credit for. Sagarika?
That's right, Sandeep. I mean, in fact, according to the polls that I can see, the BJP is leading there in UP, it's leading in Uttarakhand and also leading in Manipur. This is the poll that is being flashed by NDTV, the C voter poll. So clearly, again, as Supriya was talking about, in Goa as well, we've seen that the anti-BJP force has got split. It really was a battle between BJP and the rest, between Manohar Parrikar and the rest. But it seems as if the AAP, by being there, has cut into the Congress vote because remember Salset, which is the South Goa, which is the Catholic bastion, Goa being 25% Catholic, was the target area of the Aam Aadmi Party as well as the Congress. So by AAP being there, it has actually dented the Congress vote. So the Congress perhaps may even have won Goa if the AAP hadn't been there. So there, in fact, the AAP perhaps has been a spoiler. you know, again, Goa has been a test case of the decline of the Congress. You had very strong, venerable figures there, Luisino Falero, Digambar Kamath, Ram Nayak, Pratap Singh Rane, all of these big figures of Goa politics. But the fact is, the organization has decayed. There is no organization on the ground. There are no foot soldiers on the ground. And, you know, when the Maharashtrawadi Gomantak party withdrew support from the BJP and split from the BJP and formed an alliance with the RSS, with the Subhash Velinkar faction of the RSS, that formation, the MGP rebel RSS formation, was supposed to cut into the votes of the BJP, but clearly that has not happened. If the BJP is still ahead in Goa, then that means that in fact the opposition to the BJP has got divided, and the BJP has actually managed to keep its lead. This is the pattern, as we see, Sandeep, as Supriya was talking about. It's repeating state after state, that where the opposition is fracturing, there the BJP is in pole position. It's the principal pole of politics, therefore it is at an advantage there.
Just hold your thoughts there, Sagarika, because I also want to point out Manipur and Uttarkhand. And, you know, Manipur has been a Congress bastion. The Ibobi has been the chief minister for 15 long years now, since 2002. And it looks like it's going to be going the BJP way as well. BJP making very strong strides there. Like I pointed out, the Times Now survey seems to be telling us 25 to 31 seats, Congress between 17 to 23 and others between 9 to 15. Rajiv, Kumar, will you owe this to anti-incumbency, or do you actually believe that this is going to be the second state that the BJP will break through in the northeast after Assam?
I think it's, you know, it's of course partly anti-incumbency. 15 years is a very long time. But you know, there is an immediate cause to that, which is the people of Manipur have really been suffering because of this blockade that has been there for the highway. And you know, and they have seen that the chief minister has been unable, you know, to do anything about it. I don't know, somebody remarked that whether the BJP was in cohorts with the Nagas and so on. I'm not sure of that, but you know, the chief minister there has been seen to be ineffective and having sort of lost it, as it were. And the BJP, and it goes to the credit of BJP, and I think, as Prabhu Chawla has been saying, it goes to the credit of Amit Shah, that he is now trying to create a footprint, a BJP footprint, all across the country. And there is no state, you know, I mean, earlier on we used to say BJP is a, you know, North India party, BJP is a Hindu belt, cow belt party, etc., etc. But, you know, but clearly now the Modi-Amit Shah duo wants BJP to have its footprint all over the country, and Manipur is a case in point, and which is, if they win that, then they would claim very proudly, of course, that from the farthest east to the farthest west, from Manipur to Gujarat, BJP rules, as it were, BJP is in power. So I think much more anti-incumbency here, but much more credit to be given to BJP's own efforts. And here I think it's been a pity that BJP, I think, has stuck to Akali Dal in Punjab, because if they had broken out from there, they might have done better than what they would now end up doing, you know, in the Punjab. And that's one, you know, that's one. And same thing with Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand again is anti-incumbency, but at the same time, BJP has, you know, has projected leaders, you know, like Khanduri, like you know, others who have been able to deliver better than what, you know, the previous UPA, the Congress government, was able to do. And I think that's what, you know, so again, it's not anti-incumbency as much as what BJP is able to project in terms of their promise of better governance, which has got them both Uttarakhand and Manipur.
Jaggi, you want to come in on Uttarakhand specifically? I mean, what is this a vote for? Because Uttarakhand is also tossed between the Congress and the BJP with every alternate election. Is this a vote against the corruption charges, against anti-incumbency? And is this also the inability of Rahul Gandhi and the top leadership of the Congress to have resolved the crisis that was brewing within its party? You know, Bahuguna has been a big factor, both Rita and Vijay Bahuguna deflecting towards the BJP, closer to polls. What would you attribute BJP's success to? Or is this simply a case of they elect alternatively and so they've gone with the BJP this time?
No, I think the inner party troubles within the Congress certainly played a part in reducing the allure of the Congress. I think for Harish Rawat, the Chief Minister was not an unpopular man. He was quite liked by a lot of people. I think that the organizational effort that's been put in by Amit Shah and the Modi aura, if you take all these three things together, the anti-incumbency factor actually worked very strongly against the Congress there, because the party was seen to be fighting with itself and half the people had left and they joined the BJP and all kinds of things. So I would suspect clearly that all these three factors played some role in making sure that the BJP is ahead, though of course these are the exit poll results, but if they are right, I think the BJP is going to form the next government. Of course, the BJP will have problems with all these Congress turncoats coming here and there, but that's part two of the story. But three factors have worked for them, and I think they have held on to the gains from there.
Okay, it's that stage in the program where we're going to pause and look at the big picture. I think we've analyzed some of these states in a fairly granular manner. Let's now look at the big picture, because for our viewers tuning in, from CEOs to investors to traders, they will all want to know what are the big conclusions that they need to draw from the exit poll. I think we must tell, like Sadanand pointed out a short while ago, that we're almost analyzing as if this is the poll outcome. It isn't. These are exit polls, at best an indicator of what is likely to happen on Saturday. We'll have to, of course, analyze them in greater detail on Saturday. But as things stand, as these exit poll outcome, exit polls have come out, and based on which markets will react come tomorrow morning, it's evident that it's a good performance by the BJP. They are likely to win 4 out of 5 states that have gone to polls. The one state where they're unlikely to do well is Punjab, where I think no one in the market expected them to do in the first place. More importantly, in the state of Uttar Pradesh, where they really faced a formidable challenge with two parties coming together, they are likely to form the next government, which is a big win for the Modi government. Sadanand, I'm going to come to you first. The big picture as it stands, best case scenario is that the BJP gets 4 out of 5, which most people in the market would more than settle for. Sadanand, that was for you.
Was that for me? Yeah, I think that is. I think that is the big picture. I would again stress that we don't know which way UP will fall, and UP is really the big prize. If we're going by the majority of these polls and they end up with a comfortable majority, because if you've seen in the past that sometimes polls are indicative, but the final numbers look even better, then I think that what you've seen is a vote for stability. You see Modi at his midway point still being extremely popular. You see him heading into 2019 quite confident. You see his Rajya Sabha numbers improving. You see his ability to get his man in as president improving. So in all those ways, to the degree that markets look upon those things favorably, which they do, I think this will certainly be something that will cheer the markets.
We will take up each of those points that Sadanand mentioned, one by one. First, Swami, is this a massive victory for Modi personally? Because in UP, it was Modi versus Akhilesh or whoever. He didn't put up a CM candidate. So is this a sign that he is still the overwhelmingly popular leader across across various states? Because again, you have to see this in the context of the municipal poll results in several states, and you wrote about it as well in your column, that it seemed like the Modi wave is still very much there.
Yes, not so much the Modi wave is very much there, because after 2014 there was the Modi wave. 2015, the BJP got absolutely thrashed in the Delhi and Bihar elections. So that wave had gone. What we are now seeing is a recreation. The BJP suddenly bouncing back, and you can have your guesses on what's behind it. I strongly suspect that demonetization has something to do with it. As an economist, I have criticized various aspects of it. But in political terms, I think, it has helped Modi bounce back as, I am the party of good governance. I am the only guy willing to take on all these crooks. You please vote for me, because you had enough of all those guys who nurtured this black money all these years. So I think, yes, it's a victory for Modi. I would say even more, it's a victory for Modi's daring in going for a radical measure. Earlier on, he was an incrementalist. He did, a couple of steps here, a couple of steps there. Demonetization was a major gamble. And on the economic side, there has definitely been some damage. But politically, if it's a winner, well, nobody in the BJP is going to complain.
And that's what eventually matters, does it not? Whatever the question is, you've got to win it politically. Rajiv, Kumar, it looks like demonetization that was much criticized, was very controversial, raised a lot of issues. Many of us thought it's going to take a toll on growth, employment and all of that. Politically, it seems to have been the master stroke, and the electorate, at least in places like Uttar Pradesh, who would have been impacted by this, have thrown their weight behind the Prime Minister. However controversial the call was, it was a bold move, and India thought this was a cash cleanup, a big crackdown on black money. At least that's how the electorate seems to have, read it.
Exactly, Supriya, and if you recall on your channel, I have emphasized this point over and over again, that by this move, Modi has in some sense burnished his credentials against the corrupt and against the illegal and against all those who've made corruption and black economy systemic and sort of par for the course in our country. And the poor of this country, by having stood in those long queues and suffered, have shown that they have taken this measure to be just the right measure, because they are sick of all this corruption and black economy, etc., that's gone on. So demonetization has paid off. It was a political move. I have always said that. Lots and lots of economic policies have a political agenda, so this was it as well. And I think this, in this sense, it has come good. But the point to make here is also that Modi has made sure that the left of center space, which was contested by the AAPs and the Congress parties earlier and others, will not be, the BJP will not cede that space. And having taken the step on demonetization, if it is now followed up by more steps which should be done to apprehend all those who have now put their money, deposited the money into their bank accounts illegally, I think the people, the voters, will continue to favor Modi and will again favor that party which will fight the corruption and fight black economy and incentivize the honest working. And for the markets, which is what Shurjit was saying, this will be a very important message, which is henceforth you can expect a better investment climate, a cleaner, transparent investment climate, and I think this will not just cheer the market, but I'm hoping that it will bring back the private investor who is so far for the last 3 years kept away from the economy in terms of very weak investment sentiment that we have seen. I hope the investor sentiment will improve as a result of this, these election results.
I did not know it would take an Uttar Pradesh of all places in India to bring back private investment and woo the foreign voters, but so be it. Sagarika, I'm going to turn to you and I'm going to ask you more of a contrarian, controversial question. Everybody is saying that Modi's development card has won him the day, and it was all about the demonetization, a controversial economic move, but with obviously good political repercussions. I want to step back and see how this campaign progressed. Till the first 3 phases, we saw a very development-oriented narrative, and then, of course, came the Kasabs and the Kabristan and the Shamshans of the world. This election was also a lot about polarization, at least in a state like Uttar Pradesh, which is prone and vulnerable to it. Are you going to dispute me on that?
I totally agree with you there, Supriya. I think while we sing paeans to Mr. Narendra Modi and his development agenda, I don't think we can run away from the fact that midway through the election campaign, the narrative switched very strongly to straightforward communal polarization. I mean, you had Kabristan, Shamshan, you had Kasab, you had all manner of communal statements being made by the very top leadership of the BJP, and which worked. Actually, the communal polarization actually worked. So I think we can't discount that. But, on the other hand, as the other panelists have been saying as well, that, Modi now represents hope, social engineering and Hindutva and nationalism. So it's a kind of unbeatable combination. I think, the political fallout of demonetization has gone completely the other way as to how the pundits were interpreting it. In election after election, we've seen that actually there has been no adverse political fallout of the demonetization. We've seen the huge victory of the BJP in the Maharashtra civic body elections, victory in the Chandigarh civic body elections, victory in the Zilla, not victory, but a very strong showing in the Odisha Zilla Parishad elections, victory in the Gujarat civic body elections. So after demonetization, if now Modi pulls off a 4-state win in these elections, I think his position really is quite unassailable. I think it's a kind of, maybe it's a sort of Indira Gandhi moment, you know, after bank nationalization, he becomes the messiah of the poor. Maybe the Soot Boot Ka Sarkar jibe really got to him, and he then set out to work on a pro-poor kind of image, because the fact is, what has also worked in Uttar Pradesh, and if we accept the exit poll numbers as reality, the fact is there was the Ujjwala scheme that has come out, which has been giving the subsidized gas to the poorest of the poor, the innumerable subsidies at the local, at the level of the poorest of the poor, the mobilization of the most backward caste. I think this creation of a new kind of social coalition, plus Hindutva, plus nationalism, and very, very clear dog whistle communal politics is obviously an unbeatable combination. And as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, we can't run away from the fact that the campaign rhetoric in Uttar Pradesh was frankly in parts disgusting. It was very low level. The language used was offensive. Mr. Amit Shah's statement of Kasab was really quite unpalatable. We heard what Yogi Adityanath was saying in Gorakhpur. And we also have to bear in mind, Supriya, that, you know, if the BJP wins in Uttar Pradesh, there will be no Muslims in the Legislative Assembly. Because the BJP hasn't given a single ticket to Muslims. Now, what does that mean? Are we going to see the ascendance of Adityanath in Uttar Pradesh? Are we going to see more communal poison being spilled? So these are very real questions, I believe, that underlie the triumph of Mr. Modi, should he triumph.
Could I jump in on that?
Prabhu, sure. Sadanand, you want to jump in on that?
I mean, I'm gonna disagree a little bit and take a somewhat different perspective. I'm certainly not going to defend every statement out there, and there were certainly some things that were said that were unfortunate. But my sense from the majority of the campaign rallies, including in fact speeches by Adityanath, which I went to in eastern Uttar Pradesh, was that there wasn't a lot of vitriol. Most of it was, you know, about, look, we're going to give you better development. Akhilesh did not deliver on roads. He did not deliver on electricity and so on. And I also think there's something wider going on in the world, of which Uttar Pradesh may be a part, which is that wherever in the world there is great anxiety about radical Islam across the world. And what you're seeing in place after place, in country after country, is that the party that is seen as identified with Muslim identity politics, whether rightly or wrongly, is earning the mistrust of other voters. You're seeing this, you've seen this in the US with the Trump phenomenon. You saw that to a certain extent with Brexit. You're seeing that to a certain extent in France, in the Netherlands. And I would argue that this idea of communalism, it may exist, but the idea that it is only happening from one side, I think is simply inaccurate.
Right, but equally, a sort of majoritarian tendency is also something that we will sort of need to worry about as well, I'm sure. But let's shift this focus away from whether the election was polarized or not. I think there were provocative statements made by both sides. I think Dr. Rajiv Kumar wants to come in as well. Dr. Kumar, do you agree with Sagarika's point of view that the election was polarized? Some of those comments made by leaders, including the Prime Minister, were controversial and were meant to polarize and to sort of get the majority to vote in one direction. Would you agree with that view, or do you go with what Sadanand
I don't think so. I think those comments and those speeches, you know, unfortunate as they were, unpalatable to some extent, were a reaction to the identity politics being played by the other side, which is why quite clear. And I actually want to sort of take a bet with Sagarika here that you will, whether there are Muslim members of the Legislative Assembly or not, and there will be, of course, from other parties, I can take on a bet that there will be no more vitriol. There will not be communalism, and you know, we will not see communal fires burning in UP. There will be a development agenda, because that is what the people of UP have voted will vote for if these exit polls are right. And given that the great majority of the campaign has been development focused, I think UP will change. The UP will turn the corner, and UP will get good governance and better and faster development, and not communal politics as we go forward. So all those fears, I think, are rather misplaced.
Time will tell. A lot will depend on whom they pick as a chief ministerial candidate. Yogi Adityanath is one of the contenders. Hopefully, he will not be made the chief minister. That's not going to send the right signal to a whole lot of people as well, right? But I want to shift focus again and talk about the big picture now. And Jaggi, I'm going to come to you. And a point that Dr. Rajiv Kumar made as well. Does this sort of give more, political capital to Prime Minister Modi? Does this give him more ammunition to embark on the kind of economic reforms that all of us have been awaiting, from Sadanand to Dr. Rajiv Kumar to Swami to you? We've all written a lot about it. The bold reforms that we expected this government and this Prime Minister to bring on the table haven't come through. Will this change anything at all?
See, I think the political message is very clear that Modi and BJP are the dominant parties. Now, that creates its own political economy compulsions. That is, if you see, Modi has, as one of the earlier speakers said, he has positioned himself to the center left in terms of rhetoric at least, and in terms of some of his actions. So what it means is he does not want to give up the broad mass appeal space in favor of being seen as too close to business, and certainly he is not going to move. Second thing is, if he does win 3 or even 4 of the states, and especially UP, it will actually make political reforms tougher for him, for the simple reason that defeated parties will tend to come together to block anything he does. Which means that in the Rajya Sabha, unless he gets a majority of its own by 2018 or a significant number from the regional parties, he is going to have problems pushing through really big reforms. And today we know that big reforms are needed. GST, of course, is the big reform, and it has been conceded largely because the center has been more than accommodative of state concerns, and it has given them a blank check to do almost anything they want. I mean, the rights that the center should have kept for itself, it has actually conceded and shared with the states. So a lot of give has happened in order to get this reform thing. Now, if you want to get other reforms going, you will have a Rajya Sabha that will be probably trying to block many things. You might have problems on Aadhaar from the Supreme Court, and on privacy concerns, various other things. So I expect that there will be incremental reforms, but the big ticket reforms will depend largely on the fact that unless he gets a majority in the Rajya Sabha, it will be very tough to push through. In fact, after a defeat, the opposition tends to be more obdurate, nor more conciliatory.
All right, Jaggi, just hold your thoughts there, because I do want to take over the narrative as far as reforms are concerned with Prabhu Chawla. And just before I go for a question, it's very important to remind our viewers here that these are exit polls. We will be having a very different narrative come Saturday morning when the real votes and ballots do get counted. These are exit polls. These are indicative at best, but all of them are putting BJP firmly in the driver's seat as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned, barring, of course, CSDS, ABP exit polls, which is neck and neck as far as the BJP and the Samajwadis are concerned. They got it bang on as far as 2012 goes. So these are credible numbers. I think we're not questioning anybody's numbers, but we've just got to hold our horses a little. These are exit polls. These are not really the final tally, so to say. But Prabhu Chawla, by any indication, BJP seems to be in this pole position. If UP does go in their favor, and it looks like some of the exit polls out there are indicating that it will, does it embolden the Prime Minister for perhaps, more strong reforms? He's been incrementalist at best as far as his reform track record is concerned. Is he going to then take the big plunge, or is he going to play safe, given there are these 2 years left for the national elections?
Let me be very frank again, because I don't believe there is any connection between reforms and politics. Elections are won not on the basis of reforms, but on the basis of leadership and what leaders look like, and what is the opposition there. The question we are talking about is in UP, in Mirzapur, nobody is bothered about what is happening at the stock market. During the past 1 year, stock market has gone up by 3,000%, 3,000 points. What does that mean? The elections are being held or not? Because there are some policies being formed and some impressions by being created. The perception matters in the economic market. Because Modi is supposed to be a reformer, whether he wins the election or loses the election doesn't matter. Even in the past, what happened is because markets have gone up and down, not because of the result. They temporarily come down and up, but reforms don't play any role at all. You're undermining the Modi magic in election by giving the credit to demonetization. Demonetization was the issue only in the beginning. Later on, as Modi shifted his agenda to Hindutva, you must not forget, as Sagarika was rightly pointing out, there is a perception in the mind, and that Modi is the first Hindu leader who is a capitalist leftist. He believes in capitalism but follows the leftist perception. He follows the leftist policies so that poor people think that he belongs to them. He doesn't bother about middle class. He may be cozying up to the corporates, but ultimately all his statements, all his perceptive policies are leading up to the poor middle class. Therefore, when you talk about reform, I don't think whether Uttar Pradesh had gone against him or favor him, it won't bother what he is intending to do. Swachh Bharat is not a reformist agenda. It is something to do with much deeper malaise which country is suffering from. As Dhume was pointing out, the votes which are happening in Uttar Pradesh, they are not for reform because some people are identified with Muslim politics, Islamic fundamental party, which is happening all over the other part of the world as well. So what I would see, that Modi will follow his reformist agenda, what he has got in mind. He is not going to be dictated by anybody in the country. He is a Modi. He has come back to power not because of the reforms. He has come back to power because he is seen as a strong leader who can turn the things around. He can ensure delivery, which he is doing. He is following, for example, Ujjwala scheme. It is not a reformist agenda. Ujjwala is something which you talk about, freebies in you call it. It is a subsidized thing. Reformists would like every subsidy should be stopped. He is going towards that subsidy regime, in fact. He is giving much more money, direct transfer schemes is happening. So I think Modi is going to have much more reformist agenda in which he might tax the rich and give money to the poor. The Modi magic is there. It is a good organization, good leader was fighting against the bad organization, bad leaders. It's a victory of the good governance, good party, good leader over bad leaders, bad parties.
Right. Mr. Chawla, hold your thoughts there. I have to get in Sadanand Dhume into this. And Sadanand, capitalist leftist is what Prabhu Chawla is calling Mr. Modi. Did we fundamentally read Mr. Modi wrong? He is not the market reformist that people thought him to be. He's far more incrementalist, and like Mr. Chawla is saying, it's been difficult to read his economic ideology, to say it very safely.
Yeah, I mean, as a capitalist rightist, the idea of a capitalist leftist fills me with shock and horror. But I have to say that I agree with Prabhu Chawla that, there's no evidence in these elections that anyone is voting for reforms. No one is talking about the classic reform agenda of privatizing loss-making state-owned companies, streamlining subsidies or slashing them, making labor laws more rational so that it's easier to hire and fire, doing something about land reform to make it easier to acquire land for industry. The sort of reform agenda that people have been talking about for 20 years or so is simply not part of the electoral agenda. And I think in many ways this sets India apart from other democracies. In other democracies, you do have a simplified version of a policy debate that is put before the voters. But at least it's the same issues. In the US, you're talking about trade, and you're talking about immigration, and you're simplifying it for the voters. In India, these issues are not even on the table. What your people are talking about to a certain extent is infrastructure and jobs, but beyond that, we don't have a reform agenda that is part of our electoral conversation. The second point that flows from that is that, of course, if Modi does well, if he's powerful in UP, if he has more seats in the Rajya Sabha, he has more power to pursue reforms if he desires. But at this point, 3 years into his term, I think we have to stop being unrealistically optimistic. There is no sign that Modi desires those kinds of classic market-based reforms. And at this point, I think it's fair to be skeptical. It's fair to say that his agenda is more capitalist, leftist, or call it what you may, incrementalist. He is not interested in using his mandate to free the economy dramatically. And whatever those consequences may be economically, it seems to be working for him politically.
Swami, in that case, what explains the market euphoria and the euphoria that you see in corporate India? The fact of the matter is that the private investment is nowhere close to turning. The mood in corporate India, financially, they are stretched. The balance sheets are severely leveraged. And in the markets as well, if his reform agenda is going to be largely more of the same, the kind of reforms that we've seen over the last 5 years of the UPA government as well, what explains this euphoria that we see in the market? And we're likely to see tomorrow as well, now that exit polls are giving him a clear mandate.
I think the answer is obvious. The markets were so completely and totally fed up with the Congress government that obviously they were going to be all for Modi. So we said there's going to be more of the same. The market was like, thank God, UPA is not coming back. I mean, so...
it's back.
Anyway, sorry. So the question of left capitalism is a faulty... More correctly, it's welfare capitalism. It is definitely capitalism in the sense of the ease of doing business, in the sense of attracting more investment. Modi has completely changed the traditional BJP line, which was very suspicious of foreign investment. The way he is going out and getting that. I mean, all these are forms of liberalization. He is not going to privatize all the government companies. He's not going to float all the banks. So there are certain things he's not going to do. But he is certainly an incremental reformer, and the markets will be perfectly happy with that. So I think over and above, the markets have the situation of, if they don't come to India, where else will they go? I mean, we may have our criticisms of 6 to 7% growth, but if 6 to 7% growth is still the best in the world, the money of the world is not going to go to places with 1 and 2% growth. It will come here. So I would say, India is in a sweet spot internationally. There is a global glut of savings. Within that global glut of savings, it has to go somewhere. And they have more or less exhausted and overvalued a large number of other countries, with the major exception of China, where I think much more money could go. But that apart, I mean, India is in that sweet spot. So money is going to come in here, even if people aren't particularly happy with the reform program. They say whatever is being done is enough to make India, if not the most attractive, one of the most attractive markets in the world.
Mm-hmm. Sagarika, let's look at the other important outcome of this mandate. And again, these are exit polls. I can't stress that enough, that these are exit polls. This isn't the final verdict. We'll know that only on Saturday, and much of this panel is going to be joining us live on ET now on Saturday as well. But of course, this gives the BJP more leverage when it comes to the presidential, election. And that's an important one, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sandeep. I think the presidential elections, and importantly, the strength of the Rajya Sabha. Remember, the Rajya Sabha is one body which is in implacable opposition to Mr. Modi. So for Mr. Modi's legislative agenda, whether it's the GST or other laws, he's going to have a pliant Rajya Sabha and an amenable Rajya Sabha. So now if the exit polls are right and he wins big in UP, then he will be in a position to have a more friendly Rajya Sabha, and of course he'll be in a much better position to choose his own president in June and July. But as I said, just to come back to Mr. Modi, I don't think Mr. Modi is either Margaret Thatcher or Ronald Reagan or the kind of big reformer that people were expecting him to be. I think he's a populist nationalist. He's, Indira Gandhi plus business. So, I mean, the fact is, if you look at UP, it's Ujjwala scheme, soil card, demonetization that has done the trick. I was speaking to a senior BJP leader who actually told me that a year ago, Mr. Modi had in fact told the party that, listen, we have to get out of the Soot Boot Ka Sarkar image and we have to reach out to the poor, and we have to find a pro-poor coalition. So I think Mr. Modi is going that way. I think he's going towards a pro-poor politics and a pro-poor economics. He may have his ease of doing business, etc., but I think basically that's where his politics is going to go. And I think as far as he's concerned, as far as Mr. Modi is concerned, I think if these exit polls are right, his position in the party is now of supreme authority. I mean, he has actually shown that a state election can be won by a national leader. He's actually not relied on the local leadership, not relied on the state leadership. He's gone there, he's campaigned in UP, he's made it a referendum on him. And he took the risk of doing that. He took the risk of making this election a referendum on him, the way he campaigned. I mean, over 30 rallies in Uttar Pradesh. So he took that risk and it's paid off for him. So he's successfully transformed a state election into a referendum on him and a referendum on demonetization. And if he comes out on top as far as if these exit polls are right, then I think Mr. Modi's position in the BJP and his position in India is going to be unassailable. He is then Neta number one by a long shot.
And perhaps very invincible with his party chief Amit Shah as well. But I want to turn the focus to the other part of this debate that we haven't touched upon. And Jaggi, I'm going to throw this question to you. You know, these state assembly elections, over 5 of them, there's a string of state assembly elections that are coming up at the end of this year, early next year, Gujarat being one of them. Will this set the tone, the tenor, perhaps the narrative in favor of the BJP if these polls were to be true on the day of counting? Is this advantage BJP all the way then for the kind of assembly elections that are coming up later this year and early next year as well?
Yes, I would think so. I think the BJP's momentum continues. The crucial test for Mr. Modi actually was not UP, but he has to make sure that he retains Gujarat, because psychologically, if Gujarat there is a major dent, it will be a huge blow to the BJP, because that's where Modi rose to power. And if Gujarat becomes dicey, that it becomes a problem for him. So my guess is after this now, after 11th, Amit Shah will be camping in Gujarat to make sure that nothing ever goes wrong in that thing. As far as the elections that come next year, which is largely Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, I would suspect that the BJP already has enough momentum in terms of local leadership, in terms of people. If you see Shivraj Chauhan has already started some Narmada Yatra and he started his campaigning. So my guess is the local leadership should be able to pull off those victories as long as they are not seen to have done badly, and Modi will of course add ballast to that. But I think by and large after UP, where the BJP has to concentrate on Gujarat, the remaining will not impact him directly too much, and then we are all the way through to 2019. And that's basically the big picture as far as the BJP is concerned.
Right. I do want to take closing comments now. We're running out of time here. It's important to focus on the big picture, and the big picture will be extended only if we talk about general elections 2019, because as we went into these polls, we all said this was the semi-final for the grand finale in 2019. Of course, these are just exit polls. They are at best indicative. The results could be very, very different from what we see today, and history in the past has proven us all wrong and sometimes right. But Sadanand, let me begin this round with you. Is 2019 really going to be Modi's election to lose if these are the numbers that we go by?
Yeah, so it's a very big if, but I think going into this, if he has indeed won UP comfortably and ended up winning 4 out of the 5 states, I think he's really the man to beat. There is no question that there is no one who rivals him in stature, and this obviously extends the death spiral of the Congress party. So the idea of having someone of even remotely equivalent stature to step up to challenge him in a system which in my view is becoming increasingly presidential because of the media and because of several other factors, really makes him the man to beat in 2019 if this is true.
Sagarika, Modi versus who in 2019? That's what the market is going to be wondering as well. Assuming that the Samajwadi Party and the Congress had done well, it sort of could have propped up Rahul Gandhi. But the problem is, who is going to lead the anti-Modi bloc? Which is the one party or the one individual around whom the anti-Modi bloc could potentially rally? Surely not the Congress now.
That is the question, Sandeep, I feel, because, if the Congress does badly in Uttar Pradesh, if it doesn't win Punjab, then we really have to question whether the Congress really is any more a national party. Then it'll be in power basically in 2.5 states. In North India, it's there in Himachal, but there again there are elections this year. In Karnataka there are elections next year. It could lose Karnataka, it could lose Himachal. It's then there only in Mizoram, Meghalaya and Puducherry. So that's 2.5 states to the Congress. And I think very serious questions will then really have to be asked about Rahul Gandhi's leadership and about the methods of the Congress's political organization. The Aam Aadmi Party as well, which is why Punjab is very important for both the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress. If the Aam Aadmi Party wins in Punjab, as you rightly pointed out earlier, then it certainly could be a kind of a national alternative to the BJP. It could claim that it has grown beyond Delhi, that it has actually a national footprint, and that Kejriwal is the challenger to Modi. He's the best challenger to Modi. But if it doesn't win in Punjab. Then, of course, the Aam Aadmi Party we see is restricted only to Delhi, and Kejriwal has not evolved then as a pan-Indian figure. So we are really seeing the opposition in disarray. And, you know, I think there's a book to be written actually on the decline of the Congress. It's really a precipitous death actually. I think that as far as the opposition is concerned, precisely because they're in so much disarray, there is no figure who commands the kind of stature that Mr. Modi does, Mr. Modi is riding as high as he is. And for the moment, if these exit polls are a reflection of the results, then it would be fair to say that there is no leader, no one in the opposition at all at the national level who comes close to Mr. Modi. The only challenge Mr. Modi faces, as I keep saying, is from strong regional forces who may combat him in the states. But nationally, it really doesn't look as if there is any serious contender to Mr. Modi.
Prabhu Chawla, so then markets would want to know what could go wrong between now and 2019 if, you know, all our experts believe that as things stand, you know, it's an election for him to lose. What could go wrong for BJP between now and 2019? If demonetization also hasn't gone wrong, then what could go wrong for this government?
You see, basic question arises here again is that as far as the Tina factor is concerned, there is no alternative to Modi, that is clear. It won't be there in 2019, it won't be there in 2023 even. I am looking long-term perspective. If somebody will become the national leader, I can't see anybody in the horizon. Even the next generation in the other opposition party, Akhilesh is the only youngest leader at 43 who has the potential of winning UP again and emerging as a leader. I don't see that happening there. The question is, one has to wonder that out of these 282 seats the BJP had won, almost 220 come from only 6, 7 states. Will the BJP able to repeat 73 seats in UP in 2019? I wonder. Whether they will be getting 225 out of 25 in Rajasthan, I wonder. Whether they will get 26 out of 26 in Gujarat, I don't know. But these are the questions, because ultimately out of the 225 seats in Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Delhi, Madhya Pradesh, that might go wrong somewhere, because what is happening is that in 2019 he has to repeat the same performance in these states, because additional votes will come from where? He can't West Bengal, because what happened, even in the highest wave in favor of Modi, he was not able to win more than one seat in Odisha. He was not able to win a single seat in West Bengal. He was not able to win many seats in Kerala, not even one. Not even Tamil Nadu, not in Andhra Pradesh. In alliance they could win one or two seats. The question arises here, Modi is the undisputed leader for the next decade. He's the future leader, he's not only the present leader, the future leader as well. But he has to produce enough powerful leaders in the state, because Madhya Pradesh, as somebody was saying, their leaders, yes, Shivraj Chauhan is the best performing chief minister he has got. But there is already an anti-incumbency factor there. They have been ruling for 15 years. Gujarat is a much more problem, because BJP has been directly or indirectly ruling the state for almost 25 years now. Modi challenge comes from Gujarat. Even Rajasthan has never repeated a BJP government or any Congress government. Therefore, these are the imponderables we have to think about it, that BJP has to keep putting the pressure on the opposition party, not let them to flourish again anywhere in the state, because he has to defeat what you call Mamata Banerjee, because that election after the 2019 in Odisha it will happen at the same time, in Andhra it will happen at the same time. Even in Andhra Pradesh also, Chandrababu has never won election again, he lost twice in fact. So challenges are going to come again, because he has to look for almost in 2019 powerful regional leaders who will give him additional seats if he loses some seats in the North India and the cow belt. That's the challenge that is going to come. If he is not able to rope in the regional leaders in Tamil Nadu, in Andhra Pradesh, in other states, because Odisha might do well better at that time because they are doing very better. The challenge will come because he has to get the regional leaders on his side, or he has to expand the party in such a way, like he has done in Odisha, that he has some following in West Bengal. He has something in Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu is first chance it is happening, because there is no powerful leader left there now. After the death of Jayalalitha and after Karnataka becoming inactive, here is the fertile ground for the BJP to get extra seats.
Right. Mr. Chawla, hold your thoughts there, because it's important to point out to our viewers here, 73 seats is what he has from UP. No way on earth can he get those 73. And if he did not have those 73 seats, Mr. Modi would be leading a coalition government if he had 40 shot from UP, and which is why we keep harping about UP and why does it matter. But quick closing comments from Jaggi as well. Do you essentially agree that the magic will not be repeated, whether it's Rajasthan, whether it's Uttar Pradesh, whether it's Madhya Pradesh, and which is why the picture may look vastly different in 2019 than it does today?
Absolutely. I think it's very difficult to repeat the clean sweeps in places like Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, and of course Uttar Pradesh, and even in Bihar, which happened in 2014. But there are two things that are mitigating factors. One thing is, like, we do not know the shape of the coalition against Modi in 2019. So if the other parties have seat arrangements, then the loss of seats in these states could be higher. The second thing is, on the other hand, I would say Modi is a person who has kept reinventing himself. If you see him, his progress from 2002, every 5 years his image changes. 2002 he was a Hindutva icon, 2007 he was a development icon, 2012 he was a business leader appealing to a global audience, looking for a national presence, and he came up. 2014 he became the pro-poor messiah. He said, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So 2019, we'll have to see what persona emerges from Modi, which will appeal to this. I think he is able to gauge what the voter wants to hear, what the message thing that. So my guess is, in a worst case scenario, you will see a BJP with 200 to 220 or 240 seats and losing 30-40 seats in the crucial Hindi belt. But he will still be the party in power. It might need some coalition partners. But I can't see Modi not being the Prime Minister in 2019.
All right, Modi not being the Prime Minister in 2019 does look like a very, very remote possibility. Give you the last word on the show then, Swaminathan, Aiyar. The top 3 takeaways as far as markets are concerned, back to the state assembly elections, back to Uttar Pradesh, back to states like Punjab, Goa, Manipur and Uttarakhand.
I think I'll make one overall thing that, there haven't been enough caveats in this. If you look at the exit poll data, they are consistent with the hung assembly in 4 of the 5 states. I mean, I do agree that, the BJP looks ahead, the momentum is there. But if you just look at the bare data, there's a chance of it being hung in UP, being hung in Punjab, hung in Goa, hung in Manipur. I mean, if you just look at the exit polls, so while, you can see that there is a trend, and yet, if you get a situation where 1 or 2 or even 3 are hung, this whole idea of this huge Modi momentum, it will get stopped. Let's also say that even if, it is a hung assembly, I think BJP would have a better chance of forming coalitions, getting independence and so on than others. But it is possible that even if he does quite well in the elections, at the end of it, there can be a tinge of disappointment and saying, our vulnerability is there. We thought too much of ourselves. So let us wait and see what actually happens. I'm merely saying the exit polls are consistent with hung assemblies too.
Let's wait and watch. That's why we're going to have you all join us back on Saturday for our mega analysis as the election results come out. Thank you so much, Swami, Prabhu, Chawla, Sadanand, Dhume, Rajiv, Kumar, R. Jagannathan and Sagarika, Ghose. Such a pleasure having you with us. Thank you for being patiently joining us for the last 90 minutes. This is the most incisive analysis that we could have provided our viewers. No heckling, no sort of aggressive debate, so to say, just pure analysis from some of India's finest political commentators. Supriya?
Indeed, it's been a pleasure bringing this edition of the Poll of Polls for you. We join you on this outside of this very short break with more analysis and incisive perspective on state assembly elections and what it means for you, the viewer.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.